Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash, end of Season 8 as well as leading into Season 9. So we are just over a week after the conclusion of The Flash Season 8, which of course could have potentially been the series finale for the show or the final season, but of course that wasn't the case. So though there were elements of the episode and the finale that played out like something that could have been in a series finale of The Flash, like the Thawne versus Barry stuff, for example, but most of the stuff in the finale that was like series finale-ish was stuff that was set up in the season leading up to it, so they sort of had to pay that off. They couldn't just scrap it because there was going to be another season. But of course, we have had various setups in that finale for next season, that of course being Season 9. So as the season ends, you expect interviews. Now we have been over an interview with Eric Wallace, the showrunner for The Flash already, and I think that might have been in like the day or two after the finale aired. But this interview, which was done with Deadline that we're going to go over today, is probably the best interview to go over in regards to Eric Wallace and the end of The Flash Season 8, as well as teasers for The Flash Season 9. It's just that this interview was released a bit later than the others, so we had to wait for it, but now we can go over it. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on anything we go over in this video. Very curious what you guys think, especially in regards to a couple of the questions and answers as well. You might have differing opinions, so let me know all your thoughts down there in the comments. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're looking forward to anything that is sort of brought up in this interview and teased, why not drop a like on the video to show support? When did the idea for the Flash Season 8's finale crystallize? This is a finale that I literally have been driving to for several years. The original idea for the final battle between negative and positive forces came 2 years ago when we decided to birth the positive forces way back at the end of Season 6 and the top of Season 7. So it's been building this whole time, and we've been dropping little clues like we did, for example, at the end of Season 7 when Speed Force Nora said, "Hey, I just discovered negative forces. I didn't even know they existed." That was us giving you a heads up that this was coming. Now, in regards to this, I don't know if it was 100% planned, because I think the positive and negative forces thing was a bit messy, so I don't think it was planned too far in advance. I think it was, we introduced the positive forces last season in Season 7. How about we do the negative forces in Season 8? I don't think it was overly well. If it was, planned 2 years ago, I don't know if it paid off that well for that much planning, but it still worked for the most part. I just don't know if it was planned that far in advance. Were there ever any alternative facets to the finale, ideas you explored that didn't wind up being reflected in the final cut? No, it pretty much came out exactly as planned. The only thing that's different is we weren't sure how many episodes we might have in Season 8, and we weren't sure if this was going to be the last season or not when we were originally driving towards it. When you watch this episode, there's things about it that feel really final, this final battle between Barry and Thawne. That's because it was originally written to be a potentially series finale. So I think that hopefully gives some weight and drama to the fact that, okay, this really is the final battle between Flash and negative Reverse Flash. And to be completely honest, if you were watching it, you would think that it was a series finale if you didn't know the show had been renewed for Season 9. It sort of feels that way, especially because they brought back Jay Garrick for what feels like no reason. Bart and Nora really there for no reason. Like, the thing that would have put the cherry on top to make you think it's a series finale if Wally was there, for example. That being said, we really are done with Reverse Flash. At this point, yes, the negative Reverse Flash, just like Frost, is dead. Now, having said that, we've got another season, and I wasn't expecting that. I'm very happy about it, but just because the negative Reverse Flash is dead doesn't mean that Tom Cavanagh might not pop up on the show in some capacity in Season 9. I think I can say that without giving any spoilers away. Now, he doesn't say that Eobard or that Reverse Flash played by Tom Cavanagh, might be popping up again. He just says Tom Cavanagh. And it's very important to remember that Tom Cavanagh plays a character that can easily just show up when they want to. Timeless Wells, I think that's who we're going to be seeing in Season 9 if Tom Cavanagh does come back. But then again, maybe it could be Eobard Thawne, an alternate Eobard that's not in that negative capacity. But if I'm, taking a guess with any sort of confidence, it would be Timeless Wells. A few cliffhangers are presented in the final moments of Season 8. After Barry and Iris hint that the negative forces will need to choose a new avatar going forward, Mark Blaine, or Chill Blaine, is met with an unseen character emerging from his consciousness resurrection chamber, Jesus Christ. What can you tell us about what you've set up here? There's two separate things there. I'll answer the first thing first, which was the negative Speed Force avatar. Yeah, it's funny. It says in the episode, as Dion has been pointing out all the way back in episode 815, there has to be balance in the universe, which means there must be a negative Speed Force avatar. And since we just saw one die, I'm pretty sure that the negative forces are going to have to come up with a new one. The question is, who will that be? Stay tuned. I'm pretty sure you'll get the answer to that sooner rather than later. So I don't know if that means, we're getting it before season 9 actually starts airing and, through a casting announcement. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. The next thing is what's in the box, right? Oh, I'm not going to tell you that. Tune in for season 9. You will find out immediately what's in the box. The big clue as to what's in the box is the voice. That is Daniel Panabaker's voice. So some version of Daniel Panabaker is coming out of that box. The question is, which one? Let the debate begin because there's many ways to go. So I think we can assume it's going to be Daniel Panabaker playing some version of Frost/Killer Frost or something like that. I have a feeling that it could maybe be like a best of both worlds thing with, Caitlin and Frost. So you get like the smarts of Caitlin and maybe even like the heart of Caitlin potentially. It depends which way they want to go, whether they go extreme villain or maybe like anti-hero, but maybe you have like a bit of heart, like Caitlin's heart. But then you have obviously the powers of Frost, and if they really want to go down the villainous side, like the evil nature of it. So I think you'll get like a combination, like an amalgamation of the two rather than like a split personality. That's my bet, just because it actually is something different. And it's something that is different enough where Eric Wallace wouldn't just spoil it right here. So he's saying that we'll find out immediately what it is when season 9 picks up. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. What can you tell us as far as who will appear in season 9? Any big new villains? I'm now going into the third season of The Flash where I don't know whether or not it's the last, right? So I did this at the end of season 7 and then I got an 8. I did it at the end of season 8 and then I got a 9. Now I'm doing it in season 9 and I hope I get 10. But just in case, get ready for some very familiar old faces, villains from the past throughout the entire 8 years of the series. You're going to get some old faces coming back and we're going to have some fun, including some very, very big fan favorites. Now, we should always take an Eric Wallace interview with a bit of grain of salt, but he doesn't really name anyone here. Now, in other interviews, he's named Zoom and Godspeed. I know there's people that say that Eric Wallace is just lying and dropping Zoom all the time. I think he really has an intention of bringing back Zoom in some capacity, even if it's for just one episode. I think it's just working around a new story for him post-Crisis, because the timeline they set up doesn't necessarily say that Zoom became Black Flash like we saw in season 2. In post-Crisis, there was no Earth 2. He came from just some other area. So they've got to sort of figure that out if they really want to explain his return. In regards to other fan favorites, it depends who he considers fan favorites. Eric Wallace could consider someone like Aminette Black a fan favorite when most people don't really care too much about the character. So it really comes down to what he considers a favorite versus just a random villain that no one really cares about. But, I guess be optimistic and see what could happen. I can't really chuck any names out except for maybe Zoom, just because he's mentioned it before. While Jesse L. Martin's exit as a series regular was announced back in April, we've heard that he'll be back in season 9, but how exactly will he figure into the story? Will he be coming on for a few episodes early in the season to wrap up loose ends? Well, again, I don't know if this is my last season or not, so we do have a specific story for Jesse that relates to Joe, Cecile, and their family that'll happen right out of the gate in the season, and then we'll kind of just play it by ear. But we don't want Jesse to disappear from the show just because you're only in 5 episodes. There's a way to have him still be a part of the show and keep the character alive just in case he wants to come back, quite frankly. Now, there was no setup for this at the end of season 8 in regards to Joe not being a regular next season, which has me concerned that it's going to be a bit rushed and maybe be a bit, especially for a character like Joe who's been there since season 1, episode 1, from day dot, and been such a loved character on the show since that point. So hopefully it's done decently. I think they maybe should have set something up at the end of season 8, because I think they would have known that he wasn't coming back as a regular before they finished the finale. So I'm hoping that it works well, just because it's Joe and everyone loves Joe. When do you think you'll know whether The Flash's 9th season will be its last? It's the question I get asked every 5 minutes. I wish I could answer it. I wish I knew. I hope I will know by the time we start shooting in the fall. I think that's a fair statement, so stay tuned. And if usually something is its final season, especially something that's been as running long as The Flash has, usually they let them know. Of course, there's like the elephant in the room with like something like Legends, which was in its 7th season. but that was more of like a money thing in regards to where they actually filmed the show, like the studio. I think they didn't want to renew it or something like that, and that was like the final straw that didn't get, well, they actually got them cancelled, I guess you could say. So I guess it depends on that whole situation with the Flash and its whole shooting situation. But we should know hopefully before they start filming in like September or something like that. So maybe not too long until we find out whether season 9 is the final season. Where are you at exactly with the new season? I literally just finished the season 8 finale today to get on the air on Wednesday. The season 8 season finale is the biggest one we've ever attempted. There's so many special effects. It's so incredible. I had a blast writing it. And we thought this was going to be a series finale. So we had this huge, incredible battle between Grant Gustin and Tom Cavanaugh. So it was incredibly difficult to fully realize it and get it onto the screen. But I'm happy to say that we did. I'm so excited for people to see it this Wednesday. After that, I'm literally taking a few weeks off and I'm not going to think about season 9 at all. Yes, I do know what the end of season 9 is already. We have multiple big bads next year. We're going to continue our graphic novel format. I don't know how many episodes I've got, quite frankly. So if I get enough episodes, we'll have 3 graphic novels, just like this past year. If I get less, then I'll act accordingly, but there'll be at least 2 graphic novels with at least 2 separate big bads, one of whom is a blast from the past. So once again, that could be Zoom or something like that. I think, well, if it's Cobalt Blue, for example, like the end teaser is potentially setting up, then maybe that's the blast from the past. We know that Bloodwork was set up in the comic book leading into season 9, so blast from the past could mean a couple of different options. Do you know yet whether season 9 will feature any kind of crossover event? I don't have a sense yet. That's usually driven by the CW, the network. There are no plans for anything like that at this time, but I might get a call tomorrow. I would be surprised there's any crossover thing, at least in regards to like a crossover. There could be like an Armageddon style event, but in regards to a crossover thing, I mean, what's the Flash going to cross over with? Itself? I mean, Stargirl's on another Earth and Superman lowers distance itself. So unless it's Armageddon style, you know, where it's like a self-contained crossover, if you want to call it, with like guest stars, then I don't think we're going to be getting anything. The Flash will surpass Arrow next season as the longest running Arrowverse series on the CW. What does it mean to you to be hitting that milestone? We'll be at 184, 185 episodes, something like that, something insane. Given the climate that we're in with short seasons and short orders, it's quite frankly a miracle, and I'm so proud to be a part of something as special as this. It's something that we as writers and producers and directors, and even the studio and the network, something that we take very seriously. There may not be many more shows that get a chance to run more than 180 episodes, so we're going to try this season 9 to make each one just a home run if possible. Now, technically, The Flash is already the longest running series because it has the most episodes. I think with the season 8 finale, it hit 171 episodes, with Arrow having 170. So Flash is already the longest running in regards to episodes, but once Flash gets like The Flash season 9, it's the only Arrowverse show with 9 seasons. So The Flash can do a lot of flexing in a couple of different categories. And finally, the final question, which had some people talking online when this interview hit, are any potential Flash spin-offs being looked at this point? No, because you really don't start looking at spin-offs until you think you're not coming back, and I'm not thinking that way. Now, having said that, obviously we've introduced a lot of characters over the last couple of years. I would say to the audience, if you have some characters that we have introduced in the last few years that you want to see in a spin-off, you should write to the CW. But I'm going to just say stay focused on The Flash right now before I start focusing on anything else. The only thing spin-off you could possibly do is like a Bart and Nora spin-off, but are you just repeating The Flash? It depends on the setting and everything like that, but that's the only potential spin-off I could see. I think they're the only characters that have any sort of character growth potential where you could spin them off. So unless it's a character that you specifically just introduce to then spin off, then I don't personally see a spin-off happening in regards to characters that are already on the show, unless it's someone like Bart and Nora, which, as I said, would sort of just be like a Flash 2.0 rather than its own show. But yeah, guys, that's it to go over. The interview will be linked in the description down below. I did leave out like 2 or 3 questions, I think, that I didn't bring up in this video because I just couldn't be bothered talking about them and didn't find them that interesting. But you might. So click on the link if you want to read the entire interview for yourself. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed and want to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on everything we went over, and any opinions you might have that differ from mine. I'm always curious to read. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.